Hi, Komal.
Hi, Madhulika.
Hello, everyone. Madhulika and Komal here. And we're just starting this session. So, Komal, I'm going to invite you to introduce yourself a little bit about your work and yourself.
Thank you. Thank you, Madhulika. Uh, I'm Komal Smriti. I'm currently based in Canada in Mississauga, so joining from here. And Madhulika, I know you're on the far end of the world. And like you can say, with my name, my appearance, and everything, that I come from India. I'm born, brought up there, and I've worked in India for quite a lot of years before I moved to Canada. And I'd worked in corporate, but right now I'm a coach. So I do executive and leadership development coaching here in Canada. And I also am a Coacharya alumni and a Coacharya trainer as well. And so all my life is about coaching, learning, exploring, being, enjoying. And yeah, and apart from these, I'm a mother of two really wonderful, beautiful, grown up, I wouldn't say children anymore. One is in teenage and one is like grown up in college. And relationships has been like my quest through and through life. I didn't know that earlier, although there have been those tidbits of reflections somewhere. But after coming into the coaching and then exploring through so many different dimensions, I finally found a home in exploring more about relationships and thinking about relational intelligence and those ideas. So that's a little bit about me and my journey.
Thank you, Komal. So, a little bit, I'm going to very quickly introduce myself as well. So, like Komal, I am also Coacharya alumni, and currently, all of my training, PCC and team coaching, ACTC, has been with Coacharya. I have also been associated with Coacharya in different ways. Currently, I support the foundation's work, Coacharya Foundation's work, and I'm also mentoring the L1 and L2 learners in their journey. um, that's a little bit about me. But before I got here, I was doing different things. I've studied Ayurveda, so I'm a doctor that way, medical doctor. I've also spent 12 to 13 years in the social sector in India, the development sector as a researcher. So asking questions about problems and issues and challenges of people has been my work most of my work life. And like you, Komal, in life, I'm a spouse, I'm a daughter, I'm also a parent to a teenager, and that I think was also my push to be in these relationships. When I became a mother, is when I think I started looking at my relationships more deeply and worked on them. And I think, like you, while I call myself a life coach, but large part of my work also is around relationships people have, the relationships, how I can support them in their relationships in personal as well as professional spaces. So that's my work and my life in brief. And happy to be here with you, Komal, and everyone tonight to talk about relational intelligence.
See, this is how interesting when we have these open dialogues and conversations. There's so much that we explore about other people and find the common connects as well. So, what you said about, how being a mother is important for you because it opened up a journey for you and it really made you look deeper into the relationships. And, you know, um, same thing I would say has been for me in my life as well.
Yeah, I've always looked at like, children, at least I'll speak for myself. My child has been an anchor for me to do a lot of things and to work on myself, my relationships, and the dynamics within the family itself. So I think she has been one anchor which drew me to work on myself.
Absolutely. You kind of stole the word right from my head and spoken it. That's what I would say, call my children as well, like a huge anchor. And and so sometimes when what's happening around in the world and how our social fabric and social systems are changing make me think really deep and hard into how how are people really thinking about themselves, their aspirations in life and their role in life, because there's so many young people who just are either scared of relationships or want to run away from relationships or are finding relationships so challenging that they don't want to get married, don't want to become parents, or I don't know, their life aspirations and goals are something completely different. And I feel like, wow, isn't it something to really go deep into, look into, and see, what's really happening there and why?
Mhm.
So
What's
that's
happening
also one
then
of
and
the,
why?
yeah, yeah. And that question is very intriguing to me.
Yeah, no, I hear you. What I'm hearing from what you just said is like there's a shift in, maybe people are, maybe in the current times we see difficulty in commitment, uh, difficulty in committing to self and to others. Uh, and yeah, therefore, I mean, you and I working as relationship coaches would have seen a lot of these things come up in our practice, in our work with people. Yeah.
Always.
All right, Komal, before we get into more discussions on our work, I'd invite you to share a little bit about, what is relational intelligence really, and why are we talking about in today's time? You know, we've heard so much about emotional intelligence, we've heard so much about even spiritual intelligence we've spoken about, and we're talking about artificial intelligence. What is really relational intelligence, the way you know it, the way you understand it?
So, there are different ideas around intelligence. And one concept which a lot of people would have come across is Howard Gardner's work on multiple intelligences. That
Mm-hmm.
there are some proclivities, some capabilities that we are born with, which when we get the opportunity kind of bloom, and that we are all intelligent in so many different ways. Some have special intelligence, some have more of interpersonal intelligence. So when I speak about relational intelligence, I'm not speaking about any of those categories, right? Somebody can be such an excellent musician, but would have absolutely crappy relationships or not have really good relationships to support them in their life, right? It doesn't, so which means that the person hasn't cultivated those relational intelligences. And it's not something that we are born with. Yes, interpersonal intelligence plays a great role where emotional intelligence is also part of it. But how I look at relational intelligence, it's a culmination of emotional intelligence, interpersonal skill sets, and a huge ability and awareness of systems, how the systemic awareness and dynamics function. So, all of these three put together kind of build our relational intelligence. Because, and why it is important is it helps us navigate ourselves, like you said. First of all, it's our relationship to ourselves, like how I view myself is also a relationship, because I wouldn't view and make opinions about myself unless and until I'm part of a system, I'm part of a world, there are other people around. We live in a world of relativity. We understand everything in relation to something else. Right? If you imagine yourself to be the only person on this earth, nothing, you wouldn't know yourself, right? What would you know about yourself when there is nothing else to compare to or nothing else to see in relation to, right? So, this relational dynamic, relational aspect is already present. Intelligence is developing and cultivating this ability to first see it, observe it, notice it, become aware of it, and then to see, okay, what do I do with it now?
Mm.
Okay, this is how it is, but what do I do with it? What can I do with it? What are the possibilities? And then it comes to the skill sets of navigating yourself.
Yeah. No, I hear you. And what comes to my mind is, I think it's a 1624, English poet who said, man is not an island.
Yeah.
So, and that makes me think like how we as interventionists, as coaches, as therapists or counselors or whoever, in these helping professions, how do we view our clients? How do we view when they come for any intervention? So when you were just talking about, the totality of it is what stood out for me in
Absolutely.
relation to another.
Absolutely. And when you think about being a coach and coaching through the lens of relational intelligence, what stands out more significant is not simply what is the goal or objective the client wants to work towards, but why, first of all, right? In this, even more than 3.1, I think 3.3 becomes more important and
Mm.
relevant. Why this change? What value the client will bring it? Because it's that why that eventually qualifies. And in order to do that, the coach's attention to what relationship dynamics are emerging between you and the other person is more important. So you're not just holding the goal or objective of the person in hand, but what you're holding is what dynamic is playing out right now and how is this serving the person right now.
Mm.
And so the focus is more in the space in between, and everything else just takes place and just happens. Because
Yeah.
what we
No,
are offering the client in the coaching space is a system. We are, uh, we are modeling a certain way of being with them, which really helps them find their answers and find more clarity.
Yeah, and when you say that, Komal, in our work as coaches with clients, it brings me to a point like how sometimes coaching can only address the what of the client. And what I hear you now saying is how in our work of coaching can we include the who and the whole of the client. So
Yes,
dealing with who and the whole, and then the what of the client, because what they come up with, is just one manifestation, one superficial or surface manifestation of what they're dealing with. Who is this dealing with this, or what is their whole, and how
yeah,
do we coach around that? How do we uh, what capabilities do we bring in our work to be able to intervene at that level of who and the whole of the client?
exactly. And this brings me to the fact that most of the times when we are coaching somebody, or in general also when we are listening somebody, people have a very egocentric way of looking at themselves. And it's by design.
Mm,
Naturally, generally, whenever we think about our aspirations, our feelings, our thoughts, and ideas, we are very, very egocentric. It's coming from a space of the self that we think ourselves to be.
mm,
And what a coach can do with the help of relational intelligence is open up that scope, get them to see beyond what they're looking at. And I can give you an example in this. So I'd worked with a client who, it was a corporate client brought to me, and one of the goal which their sponsor or the organization offered is that this person was due for a next C-suite level position, and they wanted this person to work on it and say figure out that okay, what do they need to do in order to go to that next level. I worked for 1 year with this person, and after 1 year, what they found out is that they don't find it valuable to even go to that next level.
Mm,
because it's not because then the person is looking at themselves in a whole person point of view, that it's not just my job or my work which demands on
mm,
my time, it's all of those other responsibilities as well. And it's also how I feel most content in working. And so,
mm,
what are the opportunities that are accessible to me at this level which make me feel absolutely content and fulfilled about my work? And if I go to the next level, what would be the demands? And will those demands be as fulfilling to me?
mm,
Right? And if not, and if they're not even aligning to the values that I hold and values that define me, is it really worthwhile? And so the amount of clarity that happened for this person, they were so firm in their decision and say, you know what? Yes, it looks very attractive. Not for me. Not interested.
mm.
And
Yeah.
so I realized that growth or development doesn't always mean going up the rungs and ladders in life and say, okay, this step, what's the next step? Sometimes growth and development is to realize that this is the rung I choose to be on, and that's it. And I'm fully content with it. And knowing exactly your why as to why you are here. What is it really bringing you? And I think that opened up quite a lot of understanding for me, is that no, sometimes maybe we need to shift our way of looking at success, looking at growth, looking at development, looking at change completely. Change could just be that I was in doubt and dilemma, and I was so discontent, not satisfied with my life, and now I'm content with my life. Fair enough.
Goalpost changed.
Goalpost changes.
Yeah, I hear you, and I wonder, what your work with the client would have entailed. Like, what did it take for you or for any coach? What would it take to see a client in their totality and to help them see their wholeness, their context? What would it
Right.
take for a coach to work?
Of course, all of those things like your presence, trust, and unconditional positive regard and everything. But one thing I would like to highlight and bring, which really helped me, was to and there are multiple thoughts and ideas in it. One thought that came from Maya Angelou. I like her as a person, as whatever she did. She One of her statement really stuck to me. She said that always do your best, and when you know better, do better. And I was like, wow, that completely
Mm,
shifts the relationship between good, better, best. We always say like it's good, and then better is better than good, and best is better than better. But when she says that always do your best, and when you know better, do better, it completely shifts the relationship. And I was like, okay, so which means that at every given point of time, wherever we are in life, we are our best self
mm,
already. Like there
mm.
is so much of thing about, oh, become your best self, become your best version. And I'd say, no, you do not need to become that. You already are wherever you are, with your all life experiences and whatever you have gained and done and learned. You already are your best version right here, right now. You can become better.
And
And
when
when
you
you
know
become
better,
better, and when you know better,
you do better.
your goalpost of being the best version will shift.
Mm.
So, becoming the best version of yourself doesn't mean that you're worst off right now. You can't do that with yourself because, see, any change, shift, momentum requires energy. And if you consider yourself to be worst off right now, what would be your energy? And also, you are probably not even recognizing the whole history of whatever has built you. So, how we are looking at our life and ourselves is not helping, it's not working out. We're looking at ourselves in terms of limiting beliefs, in terms of stuck, in terms of blocks. But what we need to do is to shift that perspective and start looking at ourselves as to who really I am right now. Who is this best version right now? What are the ingredients of this best version right now? And if some change needs to happen, it needs to happen after your recognition of who you really are. Because till the time you are just condemning yourself, you wouldn't be able to build up that momentum to, bloom and flower into something else.
And what I'm hearing you say now, right now, is that, the recognizing, so the recognition of who I am, what I have, and what do I make with it. And
Yes.
it somehow also brings the onus of change or onus of transformation, ability to transform to me.
Yes.
It brings it
Absolutely.
closer to me.
Yeah.
So as I'm hearing you, it is sounding very empowering, perspective to look at. I can change myself or I can grow. This onus is
Absolutely.
on me. I have the
Always.
onus.
You have the onus. Yes. And that is the reason why I love the work of Alfred Adler, who's like one of the strong pillar in psychology, along with Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud, right? And I'm so amazed at why his work is not so widely known and popular. Because I came to Alfred Adler at the very last stage. So first it was Sigmund Freud, of course,
Mm, mm,
studying in MBA and knowing. And then when the coaching journey began, I came across Carl Jung and his philosophy, in his psychology and of subconscious, and then the collective unconscious and those ideas. And finally, I landed on Alfred Adler. And the moment I heard the ideas, I was like, yes, I know it makes sense. Because one, I would say that I also have a bias of our ancient philosophies, the wisdom that comes from Vedanta and yoga and Taoism and these philosophies. So when I hear Alfred Adler, I feel like he's probably somebody who speaks what these philosophies speak as well, just in a way of psychology, right?
mhm.
And one of the idea that he, and it's a very radical idea, and a lot of people can get triggered when I bring
Very,
this forward, because he say deny trauma,
okay.
right? And when he say deny trauma, he doesn't mean that, oh, the trauma doesn't exist and
Mm.
deny it and this is
It didn't
nonsense. No,
happen.
it didn't
Sorry, it
happen.
didn't
No,
happen. Yeah.
that's not what he's saying. What he's saying,
Mm.
deny trauma, is saying take charge, deny the control of trauma on you,
Mm.
right?
Deny the control of trauma.
Deny the control of trauma on you, take charge. Because right now, right here, when you know that, okay, there have been some event which brings something to you, you also have the capability to change it. You're just not looking at it in the right manner.
Mm.
And how does this bring is, there's an idea of congruence which Carl Rogers also brings, and coaching is primarily based on also on the principle of congruence, which is just that inner harmony, right? So, and the idea that Alfred Adler brings is that of the presence of purpose already, right? And so, how it connects to congruence is that he says that whatever we are doing right now, whatever our state is, it is that because it's already serving a purpose.
Mm.
So, whenever we think about a goal or a purpose in life, we think of, oh, what would I want it to be? That is a very egocentric view, because I want is, it comes from our
To
sense of
be
self, who we
ego. Yeah.
look ourselves to be. Whereas he says You are already serving a purpose, you're already committed to a purpose. Maybe we're not aware of it. It's not in our conscious awareness, it is in our subconscious. And because it is in our subconscious, that inner congruence makes us think the thought that align to that purpose, have the feelings that align to that purpose, take the actions that align to that purpose.
Hmm.
So when somebody says that, oh, I so want to do this, but I somehow cannot, look at what is the purpose you've already committed to.
Hmm.
Instead of saying, just an example, I want to lose weight. Okay, good. What do you need to do to lose weight? I need to move more, exercise, eat healthy proteins, let go of sugar, let go of carb, all of that. Oh, but I can't leave sugar. Okay. So if you can't do that, and if your body system can't do that, which means your body system is committed to consuming sugar. And what purpose is that sugar serving for you already?
Hmm.
So you cannot shift and move without really taking a good look at the ground you're standing on and why you're standing here. What purpose is it
So
serving?
sort of reflecting on that, where you're standing and why you're standing.
And why?
Yeah. Okay.
So before you say, okay, you want to do, let's go there. And okay. And you may also ask a person, oh, but why do you want to lose weight? Oh, I want to look good. I had to attend a wedding. It's not sufficient. It's a very, very
It's not a
superficial,
sufficient
egocentric
motivator for
why.
anyone to stick on, and do the or take the transformational journey. It's not enough.
It's
So
not
many
enough.
times when these, little motivations motivate us to take these small goals, and I've experienced this in a lot of, clients, with a lot of clients, that they start on a journey and then they fall off track uh,
Yes.
when it is triggered by motivations which are like, I want to look good for this, or this is my purpose,
Yeah,
or reducing weight or being healthy. Uh,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
And it goes for everything because motivation can only take us so far.
Mm,
Beyond something to make our change sustain, to really move the bar, we need to get into the knowing. We need to start seeing more clearly. So motivation would not work for a very long time
mm.
because the moment those motivators go away, we come back.
All right, Komal, there are few comments in the. I'm thinking that I'll take a look at them and bring if there's a question about it. So Divya says, "Thank you for sharing your experiences. I wonder how people see the vision of their life after decades or end of life." And she also says, "I find clients feeling regret they did not see their long term when they were younger." There's a comment. Oh, and then another one. What does it take to be regarded as a relational coach?
I first want to take what Divya says. I wonder how people see the vision of their life after decades or end of life. I find clients feeling regret they did not see long term when younger. Well, that in itself is also a commitment to pain, I would say, because can imagine in this human life, in this human form, how much far ahead can we really see? That is one. We cannot see much far ahead. We have very limited vision. So let's just accept that. And it's not limitation. It is a given circumstances, and we need to do our best in that situation. Feeling regret looking back at life also conveys to me that probably the person is still not recognizing that those has some significant however somebody's life pan out to be, it serves a purpose, it has served a purpose. So it's very important for a person even on a deathbed to recognize what purpose their life has served, and that recognition and awareness has to be in a holistic term. I'll give you an example, Madhulika. My dad, my father, he's retired now. He'd been brilliant student, really, and he comes from village. He was like a first generation learner. My grandfather was a farmer. He never went to school, so my father was like the first generation learner. And he also came from a background where it wasn't very rich or flourishing, like, very nominal family could only support him till some extent. And so he studied and he worked hard, and so he was a teacher. He taught other students as well. He had a lot of potential in him. He could have been a doctor or he could have been something else, but that systemic support wasn't there for him to become that. So he poured in a lot of his passion and energy into me and my brother, right? And he also supported my mom in whatever she wanted to do. So at one point of time after his retirement, my dad had this feeling of like, like I'm not success, and look at my other friends who they're doing this and they're doing that, and I just stayed a teacher like, or a master all my life. I heard him and I felt like, I said, you're not recognizing your contribution. You're not recognizing your success. I said, your success is not determined only in the way what you achieved for yourself in life. Your success is also in what your son achieved, what your daughter achieved, what your wife achieved, and what so many millions of students, thousands of students that you've taught are going to go and achieve in their life. I said,
Yeah.
that is your success, but it's your choice if you only want to look at yourself like one individual and not like a person who has impacted other people too.
Yeah, so again, this, thank you for sharing about this is a very personal story, and it is in your experience. So thank you for sharing that with us, Komal, tonight. It brings me back to the, to the perspective that how one can actually see their whole and their whole context when when we are looking at, like you said earlier, when we are looking at our goals, our purpose, our work, our success. Can
Yeah.
we can we grant that grace to ourselves to look at the whole that we contributed to, the whole that we are, the whole that we carry with us in our
And
lives?
that I think is something that a coach can really bring to the people, because understand what is the reason why people are not able to see themselves as a whole,
Hmm.
or to see themselves as uh, the best version of themselves in the present for who they are, because the world is constantly, showing them something and saying them something.
The gaps.
And the
Everybody's
gap,
telling them about the gaps,
about the gaps, everybody is telling them about, oh, there is something more important, there's something this and that. And we are, whether we like it or not, we are constantly comparing ourselves with the world around,
very true.
right? And in that comparison, what happens is, and we are like kind of literally comparing, because we are comparing our beginning point with somebody's finishing point all the time,
How unfair.
right? We're not looking at their entire journey. So what ends up happening is, we bring ourselves in that situation of misery always.
Mm.
And so that, because the world hasn't really modeled those wholeness or wholesomeness for us, relatively,
Mm.
not necessarily for everybody. There are people who grow up with really in really good environment, with parents who are really aware, with teachers who are really amazing, who give them a very holistic perspective of the world view. And I wish the whole world can be like that. We will grow up to be completely wholesome in our lives. But when that doesn't happen, then in this coaching space, we need to model that wholesomeness for our clients.
Yeah, I hear you totally, Komal. And there's a question in the chat also about it. like it says, what does it take to be regarded as a relational coach is one question. And then there's another question by Padmini. She says, how can we deal with guilt? How can we guide clients, clients who come with guilt of not being able to, on issues like not being able to take care of diseased parent or a broken relationship that they have had? How do we deal with their guilt?
I would say go into it, explore, first of all, what the guilt is and what purpose is it serving.
Mm,
And are they okay with the kind of purpose the guilt is serving? Because the guilt doesn't come without it serving a purpose for a person. The anger doesn't come without it serving a purpose for the person. Everything that happens inside us, right? Every thought, every feeling is serving a purpose for us.
mm. So I'm hearing you say that there can be a journey that coach and client can take together to discover that purpose. What is whatever is manifesting currently for them? Like
Yeah,
somebody writes in the chat, guilt. Somebody's written about regret.
yeah,
What is that? How is that regret serving them and bringing bringing their awareness to that,
yeah, absolutely.
helping enabling them to see,
Yeah,
is it something they're holding on and for an
absolutely. And
unfairly long time?
exactly. And that seeing part is so important because once you have seen something, you cannot unsee it.
And see it.
Once you have recognized, you cannot turn a blind eye to it. It will always stay in your conscious. That's the only reason why majority of the people in world keep themselves in distractions, in denials, and why so many people feel like, oh, taking a pause or meditating or reflecting is so difficult. Why? Because taking that pause, meditation, reflection will bring them to a pace where their eyes are open. They'll continue start to see things. But if they've already committed to a purpose which require them to not see, then distraction is working for them. People are distracted because it works for the purpose
For
that they
them.
have followed.
Mm.
Yeah,
Again, bringing me back to the point that people have onus. So recognizing, seeing, what they're holding on to, and how is it serving them?
yeah,
And our work as coaches or interventionists is to be able to see, or help them, enable them see that. And in that
yeah.
context, Komal, I'm somehow thinking it brings me to competency 7, evoking awareness
Evoking awareness.
beyond
Yeah.
the current thinking. And our
Yes.
work as coaches on around evoking awareness beyond their current thinking, feeling, perspectives, way
Yeah,
of being.
absolutely. And just going to that question, like, what does it take to be regarded as a relational coach, is to just go deeper into all of these aspects of emotional intelligence, interpersonal dynamics, systemic awareness, and dynamics. First of all, work on yourself, explore yourself, learn more about it, and then practice. That's that's what it takes.
I want to ask audience, how they see the use of relational intelligence in their personal life or even in their work. So I'm inviting everyone to type in how they see or in what aspects they see relational intelligence in their life or in their work. While they type, while they answer, I'm going to ask the same question to you, Komal. How
So,
does it work? How being relationally intelligent serves
hmm,
a human being.
okay. I'll give you another example. It's a very, very simple example, but there are a lot of connections to it. So, again, took an idea from Alfred Adler's work. He gave a term called life tasks, right? He says that all of us humans, we have certain life tasks to do. If I go into the depth of it, I will connect it to a word from Bhagavad Gita called Swadharma, right?
Mm,
Swadharma means knowing what is my rightful duty, right? Depending upon who I am, what my basic nature is, what role I'm playing in relationship to the rest of the world, what is my rightful duty, that's exactly the concept of life task is. And if I
Mm.
bring it to a very simplest of the form, and you will soon laugh at the example that I'll give you, how many of us find ourselves overthinking, stressing, thinking thoughts that we are not supposed to think? Even that is like, w- what's not for me to think, I find myself thinking that and then causing stress for myself and causing havoc in the entire system. It happened when one of my client was talking about, well, if I do this, my team will think that or my boss will think that. And I was like, wait a minute, which thoughts are your responsibility? What is your thought that should be? And he was like, why? What do you mean? I said, your life task is to think your thoughts, right? Thoughts that are your own for you about your work. Why are you thinking other people's thought?
Yeah.
What will my colleague think is, well, they'll think whatever
Not
they'll
my
think.
story to write.
It's their job. It's their job, not your story. What will my boss think and say? Well, not your damn business, right? Your business is, what are you thinking, right? So stay to that. That's your boundary. Don't think others' thoughts, because when you do that, you create confusion for yourself, you create stress for yourself, and you create that. There's a specific term, like in the system, also you create those. Let's say you create confusion in the systems as well. So leave others' business to themselves. You just focus on what's your business. And a lot of people feel like, oh my God, that's a very selfish way of thinking. No, that's not a selfish way of thinking, because when you leave other people's business to them, you actually regard that other people are capable of doing their business, which means you're not infantilizing others and you're not putting yourself on a pedestal,
Yeah,
right?
totally. You're trusting
And
them.
you're trusting them to do whatever they're capable of. And if they're not, then they better learn,
Yeah. Yeah. There's a personal experience that's coming up for me.
right? And this is something which is like a pandemic. Majority of people deal with that. And for me personally, I would say, Madhulika, that things shifted so completely in the coaching conversation. The moment I saw this, that other people's thoughts, feelings, and ideas are their business, not my business, I will tell you how it impacted my coaching practice. Because earlier, whenever the client will say something, I would like feel like, oh, I'm connecting to their thoughts, or a lot of thoughts will go on in my mind. But the
Mhm.
moment I saw this, oh my God, it's their business. My business is only my thoughts. So somehow the mind got so cleared. There's no clutter anymore, right? Empathy is in a way that I'm holding space for whatever you're saying. Not that I'm, oh, personally connected with you. No, that's not happening,
Yeah, that isn't
right?
empathy. Yeah.
And so that is how I think this relational intelligence, and seeing those aspects can really help us.
Mm. Yeah. No, I'm connecting to how we can show up in our work as coaches, and how we can be just responsible for what we do. And earlier you mentioned about doing your best at that moment.
Yeah,
So you're doing your best at the moment,
absolutely.
and you're not responsible for other people's thought, feeling, emotion.
No,
And this sort of gives me freedom to operate, independence to operate, and be myself,
absolutely. And
do
be
my
yourself.
best.
Yes. And sometimes people think that uh, compassion and empathy means that, oh, we go to other people's. No, You go to them when they want you to go to them, when they ask for a help.
Yeah, totally.
Otherwise, you hold them in a regard that they are capable. That is a way of seeing the wholesomeness in other people as well.
Yeah. As you're saying, like I said, there's a personal experience. I'm not too sure if I should share it. This happened today. I, and I somehow, so this was a little bit of relational agitation that happened for me today personally. We are traveling, we are in Krabi as a family, summer vacation. And there are little things that my husband was doing. Now he had taken the onus of planning things and doing things and making sure that we are happy, we are well planned. And these are my words exactly to him, and I made him right that you are not going to decide things for us. Okay, so you are not responsible for my joy and my happiness. And yeah, that's where we are. So you can always allow me to participate in
Yeah,
such small decisions like uh, what do we do tonight? I am
yeah.
ordering this. You can place what you are doing on the table
Hmm.
and know if I agree, I am agreeing with my own, my knowledge,
Absolutely.
my understanding, my preference. If I do not, it's not your responsible to make. You're not responsible of making me happy. So
Exactly. And
yeah, so don't take that
smallest of the things,
burden on yourself. Free yourself, free me.
yeah, and smallest of things that we do in relationships is like, oh, he ordered this for me, I should eat, otherwise he'll feel bad. Well,
He'll feel bad. Not my problem.
okay, so there is a whole lot of judgment and there's a whole lot of opinion already formed behind that's one simple statement that he will feel bad. Well, is he a kid that if even if why first of all he feel bad? Does he not a kind of person who offers freedom to the other person? Who expects that, oh, only if you agree to whatever I'm saying, you're like we are in a relationship? That's one question. Another is, okay, even if this person feels bad, do you think they're not capable of holding or managing their own feeling that you have to
Absolutely, they
somehow
can.
become like a mom and infantilize them? Right? And
Yeah,
then we say that, oh, my relationship is not equal pace. He always behave like a kid. Are you also behaving like a mom? You stop behaving like a mom, he'll
like a
stop
mom,
behaving like a kid.
like a
This is
kid.
how the relationship dynamics play out, right?
Yeah,
So that's why I say, you want to change the world, first look at you.
yeah,
In what ways are you holding the world to show up in the same manner for you?
yeah.
Because once you change and shift inside, the world changes.
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, this small little tiff happening this afternoon brings me to a point like there's so much work that I have constantly got to do in my own spaces. And so, that's what I can offer. That kind of work I can offer as a coach, to
Yeah,
support when clients are doing their work, their bit of work.
absolutely. Yeah. And somebody also asked, like, where is there a program on relational intelligence
Yes,
that we
somebody's
can
been
do?
asking
So,
about a program certificate that you could recommend or we could tell them about.
so, what I can recommend right now are some of the books that you can read. When it comes to program, I at Coacharya will be doing a foundation program with relational intelligence as a specialization very soon for level one, and we're also preparing for something for level two. So keep in touch with Coacharya, and you will get to know what more will come.
Wow, that sounds really interesting, Komal. The entire program is focused on working with relational intelligence.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
So, of course, there is that foundation and basis of
yeah,
coaching as well, but then to work more with relation intelligence.
all right. All right. I think Yamini has posted the details of it, for everyone to look at the upcoming program. And I'm also quickly trying to look at the chat if we've missed something. We did ask how people see, relational intelligence in their personal or workspaces or in their
Yeah.
practice if they're coaches.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm going to,
And it's like, um, Oh, yeah. Yamini has sent this question. How would RC apply for? Okay, how does relational in coaching apply for neurodiverse clients? I would say in the same manner as it applies for anybody else. And I can say that, in my home, my son is autistic as well. So we have, in fact, we have all the family members on different spectrums of neurodiversity. And I can't tell you how much this has benefited me having that relational intelligence lens. It allows me to really accept him for who he is, not undermine him in any which way, rather to look at uh, how he's showing, what are his strengths, right? And really appreciating, acknowledging them, and what more does he need, and offering those things to him. One thing which I learned about autism through bringing him up is that he and about neurodiversity, it is said, and it's said for ADHD, it's said for autism as well, that if you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism,
Wonderful.
which means it's not something that, okay, one person with autism would look like another person. It's a spectrum. So people behave absolutely differently. So you cannot quantify that, okay, oh, I know autism entirely. No. So I can only talk about my son and experiences with him. He has an absolute focus, concentration, and commitment. Like when he's doing something, you just cannot distract him. He will not be distracted by anything. He's absolutely committed. What he wasn't very good at, one, he had his speech delayed. So he began to speak and converse very, very late. And that too in very broken forms, like it wasn't a well constructed speech that he had. And but he was very observant, right? It was that he wasn't able to convey or communicate didn't mean that he didn't have all of those observations and feelings inside him. So I helped him. I just saw, like, okay, how does he operate, what is important for him,
Mm.
right? And so, and offered him the same manner. We sat and we discussed and spoke about different emotions and different feelings. And once he understood, he developed and cultivated that language, which now helps him express himself better. Even now, when he doesn't understand how to express himself in some way and he struggles with it, he would come, he will sit and talk, he'll ask for clarifications. And then that's how he function. And another big thing I'll say when we speak about neurodiversity is that somehow I find that our world is not built around, or the way the world functions, our social systems, our political, financial systems function, it doesn't serve everybody in the same way. We have built the system, if we consider our population as a normal curve where neurodiversity lies somewhere on the fringes and neurotypical right in the in
Very
between.
good. Yeah.
So we have built a world which serves to the majority.
Mm.
With relational intelligence, my endeavor is also to help people become aware about themselves better, about the world around better, so that slowly and gradually we can build the world for the fringes. Because when we have built the world, our systems to serve the fringes, majority is automatically taken care
So,
of.
yeah.
It is already served, right? So that's where the system should flow and lean in and go towards. And I think this really helps us.
Thank you, Komal, for sharing. That's a very, very personal story you shared from your family about your son. And what I was able to hear in what you shared is that you've really been able to empower. So, you've dealt with him in the same way, not in a different way. You've allowed him to have a voice. You've empowered him with a way that he can connect, he can converse. He can communicate. So I am seeing that you've empowered him the same
And
way like we would empower anyone else.
I would say, again, going back to that relational lens, is that the purpose that he has served in my life is my own growth development. Would I have paid so much of attention to learn about neurodiversity, autism, ADHD if I wouldn't have had a child of my own who's dealing with those things, right? No, I wouldn't say dealing with. Who is that? It's not a something that you deal with. You, this is who you are. And so probably not.
Mm.
So, having him with his capabilities, with his challenges, is serving a purpose for me because it keeps me interested, it keeps me inquisitive, it keeps me focused on learning and not looking at it from a very judgmental, opinionated, or egocentric lens, but seeing, okay, what's happening here? How do we, you know, deal with it?
Work
Or
with
how
it.
do we manage
How do we
with? Or
work
how
with
do we
it?
work with it? Right?
Yeah.
And that's how we all are. So everybody, even if somebody looks like, oh, their life is a waste. No, no life is a waste. Every life serves a purpose. We just need to
And
learn to see
this is
it.
again bringing me to a point like how in coaching we deal with what is present now and what do we do with it? How do we do it? So are not in coaching work, we are not delving with why this happened to me or
Yeah,
why this, why this story got me here. We are dealing with this is it. It is here and now. How do I take this further? How do I
yeah,
build from here? How do I create coaching? Like we know is a creative process. So what do we make
absolutely.
with this?
Yeah, yeah. And that's something that question brings to me with meaning. Like, what meaning do we assign to things? Because there is no possible way to know why something happened in the past. We can keep interrogating, asking, whatever. The only acceptable answer is what we give to ourselves.
Yeah.
The only acceptable answer is the meaning we make out of it. That's what Viktor Frankl said. Man
Yep.
search for meaning, man search
Meaning.
for excellence,
Mhm.
right? And that is something so unique to human beings as a species, that we are creatures of meaning. We thrive with meaning, and that
Yeah.
meaning is in our hands. And so see, okay, this meaning I assign, and does this work?
Mm. Does it
Is
serve
this,
me?
does it serve me? Is it bringing me peace? Is it bringing me calm? Is it helping me move forward, move ahead, and grow? Take it. If it doesn't, leave it. But there is definitely no question to why it happened. Well, it happened. Accept it.
And that's a very disempowering, context to look at. Like,
Yeah,
why did this happen? Why me?
yeah. Why
Rather than
me?
dealing with, well, this is what do I do with it now?
So
Where
when
do I
we say
take it?
why me, the antidote is why not you?
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much, Komal. And there's interesting responses to what we asked, how we see relational intelligence in people's life. And, there is Rekha saying, coaching or in life, I see work on self is the key to start with, but weaving the systemic view or relational perspective is what makes growth learning sustainable. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Geeta says you will be able to manage your life better as you will understand people and situations the way they are, the way it is. Jolik says relational intelligence starts with our relationship with ourselves, therefore plays in out in every part of our life. Our capacity to engage with others is capped at our capacity to engage with ourselves. This work plays is absolutely agree with you, Geeta, Rekha, Julix, and what else do we have here? Yeah. Okay.
And
Okay.
some of the, like,
Those are the
somebody
comments.
asked for references of books as well. So this is one book which I'd say it's a must read. The Courage to be Disliked. Uh, this is one book. And another one, if you really want to explore this, is What Life Should Mean to You by Alfred Adler.
Adler's book himself.
Yes. Uh, some of his books can be a little bit of a difficult read. Like for me, initially, it was a difficult read. Like I had to really keep my eyes open and mind focused. And I was like, what is he really trying to say? But it's really amazing. It's good. And another is, like we said, that we will definitely bring in relational intelligence in more courses
as a
and
program.
programs with
Yeah.
Coacharya. So, yeah,
Thank you so much, Komal, for bringing it all together, introducing us to the subject and, how we could work with it in our life, but also, as coaches. Where do we need to bring our client to? What awareness can we evoke in them, and how we can work on ourselves as people and as coaches to be relationally intelligent?
yeah.
And thank you for sharing the resources. And like you said, we'll be hooked on for the course that's coming up.
Thank you so much, Madhulika. It's been so easy to speak to you, to talk to you. Amazing conversation.
Same here,
Thank
Komal.
you.
My pleasure, totally. Thank you for the opportunity, Coach Arya, and thank you everyone for joining us tonight in this discussion. I'll say goodbye now, Komal. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, Team Coach Arya. Bye bye.